Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Run It Up. Run It Up number 71, I think. We are here today playing some 50-cent $1 no-limit Texas Hold'em on UltimatePoker.com, and that's kind of pretty much it. This is the very first hand of the session. I don't know. That's a large bet. I don't know either of these opponents. I don't think I've actually ever even seen this Patches avatar before, the voluptuous cougar. I don't believe we've met before. I'm Jay Carver. Nice to meet you. Not my usual type, but I'm digging the hat, you know? It's, sure, whatever. Gonna be defending here with King 10 offsuit. Don't see why not. I don't know the other guy either. Chef James over there in the hockey uniform outfit thing. And then we got Will Reynolds showing up again. We play yesterday, High Stakes Monday, especially high for us. Will's there. We play 50 cent a dollar, a little bit smaller than we usually play. Will Reynolds is there. He's clearly he's the biggest grinder of them all. King of the grinders over there. Just can't stop, won't stop. Weird that Patches limped and then folded to the 3x. Certainly worth noting, as that it would be a non-traditional thing. Having made it to second pair status, I would not have folded to a flop bet, shockingly enough. I will start here with a bet, though. I would be surprised to see Will fold here, unless he had, like, absolutely nothing. I would think he'd call here more often than not. He has hands like ace-king, ace-queen, maybe, sevens, something like that. Those hands all seem reasonable, but looks like not this time. We get that job done. So we're playing a little bit smaller here because there's no 1-2 games going, and partially also because of the fact that we had a couple of losing sessions in a row. So we want to build our confidence back. You know, we're hurting a little bit on the inside. You know, can we win? Will we ever win at poker again? I don't know. So, you know, we're going to we'll play a little bit lower. I'm being a good role model for all you running up warriors out there. You know, you guys lose 2 buy-ins, you should move down too, or at least consider it, you know. But I'm actually been forced to do so. I guess we just fold here given how bad our hand is. There is actually a 1-2 game going right now we could have played, but too late. I'm already committed to this game. So that's it. We're here with our cat avatar Patches, you know, Will Reynolds, the guy in the NHL getup, and us, the Conor McGregor avatar. That's right. Hopefully we get the job done today. I'm feeling great today. I think we've got good chances of winning today's video, you know? There are days where I'm just like, I'm so tired and blah, blah, blah. No excuses today. I'm feeling great. The audio is recording. Everything looks good. Video is recording. There's no excuses today. Let's see if we can get the job done. I'm feeling good energy. It's like 7:30 at night. It's getting punched in the face with the microphone. Sure. I'm feeling good. I think I like our chances here. I think I've been so tired lately. The last week, I've just had so much going on that I'm finally doing less, and I'm feeling better about it. I'm finally getting my life back together, and I'm very happy about that. So I think we're going to start here with a bet. We could also check and not do anything, but I think I'd rather just bet. Sometimes he'll fold better hands than ours if he has hands like pocket threes. What does pocket threes do? Probably just says no thank you. On the queen turn card, I am certainly considering giving the old bet here, and I don't see why not. You know, if he has a 6 or an 8, we're going to start putting pressure on that. If he has a king, I don't think he folds. That's definitely not something I'm trying to get to happen. But I think there's a chance he'll fold a hand like, ace-6 suited, maybe a hand as good as like 8-7 offsuit, or 8-7 suited, I should say. It doesn't make a difference either way, of course. But looks like we got the job done there. So, I guess that's pretty much it. I don't really even have a reason for feeling so much better today than yesterday. Yesterday, I was just, exhausted, and it was I was a little out of it yesterday for sure, and I wasn't even, out of it. It was, the only day that I was going to have off in, this, 4-week span of time in the last, 3 weeks, and then this upcoming week. So I had, half the day off, and I was very happy about that, and then I had to go into video mode, and I was fine with that, but I don't know. My heart wasn't in it. My heart wasn't in it. I was too depressed. The Walking Dead wasn't any good. I just wasn't. I wasn't in it. I wasn't into it. But I'm in it today. We're back in it to win it. I'd even go so far as to say, got ourselves a lovely stack of Dear Jay Carvers over there, ready for the ripping. Excited to do some of that. And I am very committed to this idea. Oh, hello, new opponent in the big blind. Hello, guy. I call with my 6/8 offsuit. Let's see a flop. Spoiler alert, I will be betting. Let's bet $1.25. Let's bet $1.25. Seems like the right amount to bet. Could just bet $1, obviously. Not the finest of turn cards for us. I would suspect that his most likely hand here, besides having an 8, it would be a heart. And if he does have a heart, we're in bad shape. Spoiler alert. So, I think we just fold. We don't know this guy at all. So I think we just say all right and fold. We could be folding the best hand, though that does not seem particularly likely. It is, of course, possible. Beautiful hand here on the button. I suppose we'll be raising it up. I think $2.50 seems like the winning amount. Call and call. Okay. This is a good game. I like our chances in this game. People do not like to fold, which is the best kind of game for me. Let's get in there. Mix it up. Battle it out, you know? Gonna start here with the wager. I think 5 shall do it. If one of our opponents decides to be aggressive, especially if it's the NHL guy, we'll definitely be going to war with the old nut flush draw. Looks like they've discovered our plans and said no thank you. So all right. Hey. We've got some work to do. 1470. We got to win $530 this week to get to 2,000. I was going to do some non-poker videos this week, so that would definitely slow down that pace of progress, but we could get close. It could happen. You never know. I will tell you one thing. There will be no tournament videos this week. I am not doing those tournament videos. That is one way to make me go crazy, is like those 2-hour tournament videos that are just like, oh, I can't do one this week. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. But we'll have some fun. We'll play some cash. It'll be good, and some non-poker stuff too. I'm gonna do it. I've been waiting too long. Magic videos are coming, boys and girls. I'm excited about that. Not only that, but I feel like I can do a Magic video that's relatively entertaining, and then I can actually get better when all you Magic wizards can give me comments and feedback. I'll learn, get better. It's great. It's win-win for everybody. So our friend with the hat over there decided to call out of the big blind and then bet $1, and now is betting $5. So I don't believe we win this very often. However, we do win this probably often enough that it shows close to a profit, or at least we're not losing that much. And I'm very curious to see what this opponent has. If this opponent has, like, King Jack, it's worth noting. If our opponent has Ace 9, again, worth noting. And we do win this often enough that it's probably fine. So this is very much worth noting that our opponent called pre-flop. It was definitely worth $5. I almost did. It was so worth it. It was so worth $5. Yes, that's right. It was clearly worth $5 because we know our opponent flat called pre with queens, which is kind of crazy. And then our opponent bet out $1 on the flop, $1 on the turn, and then half pot on the river. So it just shows that in future spots, we'll be able to give our opponent like a kind of an oddly wider range at times. I'll point it out more when the spots come later, just based on that information and that knowledge, plus the fact that even in purely like in a vacuum, I was trying to think of a more basic word, and then I was like, there is none. Purely in a vacuum, just looking at that hand alone, calling that river has to be okay. What does our opponent have that we lose to? There's not a ton of things that make a ton of sense that we lose to. So I thought that would be fine. I'm certainly a little concerned that this player has us beat, but I'm not that concerned. So our question is, do we bet and let our opponent bet and then raise low in, or do we check? All right, did I say bet? I don't know what I said, but I'm going to go with checking. Our option was checking or betting. I decided to go with checking. We lose to 4s. If he has 4-5, ace 4, we lose to those hands. We beat 6-7, pocket 6s, pocket 5s, 7-8, 7-9, those sorts of things. Ace 5, ace deuce, Plenty of things we beat. Don't believe there's any other better decision than saying I'm all in. We lose here sometimes. Probably losing this. Yes, sir. Did not win that one, but I feel fine about that. I don't think he had enough to do anything else besides do what we did. We could have got away from it if the turn was like a 6 or a 5, but given that it was a 4, I think that he only had like $30-something behind. I think we probably have to get it in there and can't feel too bad about it. I suppose I will reload for $40. All right. Let's keep track of that somewhere. So we're in for 140. Don't feel too bad about it. I think like if our opponent had a full stack, we would never check raise all in. We would have check called and then check folded on that river probably. So I think it had to be one of those things where we had to have that stack. We had to have a hand that good. It all just kind of worked for us to lose there, but I don't feel bad about that. I think it's just one of those things that happens. What were we talking about before all this? I don't remember. I don't remember. But, yeah, let's pull up your question. That's what I think we need to do. If you've got a question for me, dearjcarver@gmail.com, and be like, hey, J. Carver, what up? I got a question for you. I got a question for you. And I'll say, oh, all right. Well, I might have an answer for you. You might not like it. I might just tell you to drink some water. But, hey, it's possible. All right. Let's pull a question. I'm going to do a cut. I'm going to do a cut here, and definitely defending here. Happily defending in the big blind here. Beautiful little flop for us with the old Queen Dewey. Going to start with a check, and we will be probably raising. There is certainly no reason to slow play against a guy who we believe is kind of like Sticky Mickey over there. It's going to start with a raise. Can even raise pretty big because I think his decisions will be pretty... he'll either call or he won't. I don't need to use fancy poker lingo. He'll either call or he won't. Doesn't matter, I think, whether we make it 10 or 9 or 8 or 7 or 12. I don't think that matters too much. All right. Dear J. Carver, huge fan from New Zealand. I appreciate that you wrote it in a way that I would know exactly what you meant. You know, huge fan. I guess we just fold this. We're so aggressive at position, could re-raise, but I think we just play disciplined poker and just let that one go. Dear J. Carver, I really enjoy the way you talk about life in general, and obviously poker. What does that mean? Thank you. I'm watching all your run-up videos, and it is a massive high point in my day to see a new video. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. My question is, have you ever thought about running your own business? Oh, I've thought about it. I've been involved with it before. All right, well, let me see the rest of your question. Nope, that's pretty much it. So, question from Ryan from New Zealand. That's right. Well, thanks for your question, Ryan from New Zealand. But yeah, I've got several businesses that I have interests in. That's right. How you guys like that? That was a little too like piano player-esque and less like fingers in the pies. You know, pots, pies. I got my fingers in a lot of things. So I have invested in businesses which I owned, but in terms of like running my own business, like made all of the decisions on like a relatively high dollar amount basis, I haven't really done that until recently. I did invest in a business which I owned, and that managed to lose lots of money, lots and lots of money. When I was like way younger, I invested in a. I'll tell you, I don't mind. I invested in a video game training site for StarCraft, and that just did not work out well. It was the wrong game. I didn't manage it well. The people that I hired were not the right people for the job, didn't quite know StarCraft, didn't quite know, there were several problems. There are several problems there. And I pretty much washed my hands of it and spent no time actually making sure that things were being done correctly. So I lost lots of money doing that, but I learned quite a bit. And one thing I learned was that I need to keep my thumb on the pulse of everything going on. Otherwise, things get away from you, and they're not always done the right way. So I have learned that with things like Run It Up, because I have been much more like, listen, if you don't like a Run It Up episode, there's only one person you can be upset with, and that's me. If someone hasn't answered one of your emails in a long time, it's my fault, and I'm very sorry about that, and I'm working on getting better at that. But it's on me, all of these things, so I kind of like the wearing the burden of responsibility, but also, I know everything is done right, and I think Run It Up is probably the closest thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm running lots of different businesses to some degree, but I think Run It Up is probably the clearest example of a business that I own and run, because it's pretty much my operation. I mean, I bring in guys to shoot certain things or help me with certain things, but for the moment, and hopefully this moment doesn't last too much longer because I could use the help, I think Run It Up is a good example of a thing that I've spent a lot of time doing, and I had the idea for it, and not the idea for this. Initially, I was like, let's do some YouTube videos and have some fun playing poker. Not much of a idea exactly, but so yeah, I guess that's your answer. You're looking at it. You're looking at it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. All right. Where's my discard pile? All right. So this guy opened, this guy called, and now here we are. I guess we fold now. Interesting. Let's make sure we pay attention to this one, because this is going to be... All right. No, I'm going to skip UFC questions for this video, because there have been so many UFC questions. Ha! Okay. Don't think this is a question, but you'll make it on the show. I'm a man of few words. Keep it up, Andy. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate the support. Even though you didn't write Dear Jay Carver, I appreciate you trying to be short, so at least there's that. This is a weird hand. Bet, min raise, call. Check, bet, raise. Sure, okay. Interesting. Sure. Oh, this is also interesting. I have two questions, both at the top of the pile, sent an hour and a half apart. One that says, both of which that say, Dear Jay Carver, Dear J, the letter, space, Carver, both of them. Second line, one says, greetings from sunny Scotland. Other one says, from your Scottish friend, XD. Oh, hello, Scottish friends. Can we do two Dear Jay Carvers at once? Is that a thing we can do? Can we do that? All right, let's try it. Let's see if we can do two Scottish Run It Up questions at once. I could have opened this, I guess. I mean, it's obviously really bad, but not the button. It's probably fine. But, I was sad immediately afterwards when I noticed the situation. I was slightly sad, but I guess it's fine. All right, so Sunny Scotland writes, why not have a tournament exclusively for us Run It Up warriors? There could be a prize and bounties, free roll, and it would be great. Yeah, that sounds fun. Let's do that. Eventually. We'll do it. I'm working on it. We can't do it right now because you're in Scotland, so you can't play on the site yet. But we'll do something like that sooner or later. Trust me. I would love to. I would love to do something like that. Whether it was, online would make the most sense, but we could even do it live, just some sort of a event of sorts. I like your idea. Trust me. That's a pretty good flop for us. And then there's from our Scottish friend who wrote me a smiley face. Our Scottish friend with the smiley face wrote, I was wondering how you dealt with the running bad back in the day when you grinded all the time. For example, when you mentioned your 40K losing days, that's right, I've had 3 of them. I've had way more than 3 of them, but I had 3 of them when I was 19. I've had way more than 3 lifetime, but way more is probably wrong. But I've probably had 10, a dozen, no more than 15. No way it's even 15. I probably could think about it every time there's been 100K, which I've only played 3 of, and I didn't have. I've had probably around 40K of myself in every one of those 100Ks that I've played, and that's for sure. So at least those 3, and then I'm sure I've had losing days with staking because it's very easy to have a losing day for 40K if you have 10K or 25K. So I'm sure I've lost more than that in staking. And I'm sure I've lost more than that with like really bad days in sports betting. So yeah, I'm sure it's probably around like a dozen is my legit guess. So just now I'm on quite a bit of a downswing, and I'm running bad. I know this is part of poker, but how did you come to terms with consistently getting it in good and losing? Well, if you're getting it good, as long as you're getting it in good, then that's all you have to do. The hard part is over. The hard part is getting it in good. Winning and losing is a matter of just playing enough, you know. And obviously, it can make a huge difference. You know, if we get it in with aces versus kings twice in a session and lose both of those all-ins, we're probably not going to have a winning session. You know, so it's one of those things where you just have to kind of like play for the long term, keep your mind focused on the results, make sure you play a bankroll level that allows you to not be hurt too badly if you lose, both emotionally and financially. You know, nothing worse than like losing 2 buy-ins and then tilting off another 2 buy-ins. That's not really the best idea, right? Just trying to keep that like strong thought process, you know, build yourself a fortress in your mind and just interpret information certain ways and, Let's do a lean down. You know, just you want to make sure that you just can like, you know, you really want to make sure that you have an understanding of what's happening. You want to make sure that you're like, you know, you just be mentally aware of like yourself when you start tilting, you start feeling bad. You know, these things are all just not realistic. Like if you're upset because you made the right play and then didn't win, you shouldn't. Why are you upset? Like you really have to ask yourself what is upsetting you. Because if you're making the right decisions, poker is a game of gambling. There is an element of luck in poker. Embrace it. It's going to happen. Like, you're going to get bad beated. The only thing you can do is perform better than your opponents will when they get bad beated in the exact same situation or what have you. So, you know, that's really all you can do in poker. That's how you have your edge. It's how do you trade with your opponents. It's like, you know, if my opponent and I both play a hand a certain way, but I go on tilt a 1 out of 10, but my opponent goes on tilt a 7 out of 10, that's a great trade. That's a great trade for me. That's a great situation to be in. You know, even though poker doesn't work like that necessarily immediately, visually, right in front of you, it's how poker works in theory, right? In theory, everyone gets the same cards. Everyone's just left to make their own decisions, and you want to be better at making those decisions than your other Scottish friend over there who wrote me a regular colon, you know, parentheses, smiley face, whereas you wrote XD, you know, so clearly points, right? Yeah, you sure did. You know, you gotta just make better decisions than your opponents, and you'll win in the long term. And just focus on that long term. The long term, I almost said. My Long Island accent coming out a little bit. All right. Let's pull another question. I liked that question. That was pretty good. Okay. I'm going to start here with a wager. I think $4 is probably fine. Yo, J Carve. Yo, J Carve. That's what it says. Yo, J Carve. I gotta cut it so you guys can't see his email address. Yo, J Carve. There you go. Maybe, sort of. All right, you have to just trust me. It says Yo, J Carve. Yo, J Carve. You mentioned next year that you are going to try and rent out a movie theater and have a run-it-up slumber party. Yeah, I did say that. I said we could do that for the main event final table next year, because what I did for the main event final table was just sit here with like a couple of my friends and we watched it. And then I was like, boy, it would be a lot of fun to get like Scott Seaver, Dan Smith, like a lot of those guys who are fun to watch things with because they're very loud and opinionated. And I love them both, and you know, and others of course. But to do like a thing where we rent a theater, everybody comes, watches, hangs out, we all laugh at, you know, people who, you know, we just laugh together, we laugh at Scott Seaver's jokes. It's great. How is that not going to be an awesome night? I think that would be a really fun thing to do, and the kind of thing that I would love to do for, you know, all you run-it-up warriors out there, especially those of you who are in Vegas. You know, it would be fantastic. I think that would be great. So yeah. Oh, your thing is, did I actually say your punchline? I don't remember if I did or not. Sorry if I didn't say your punchline. I'm sorry. It's too late now. If I did, then all right. Okay. Okay. You convinced me by your last line. I wasn't gonna read your question because there were so many words, but then I laughed at your last line. I'm gonna limp end call here. Queen 5 of blue. Pretty sweet little flop for us. Made it to pair status. Probably have the best hand. Might not, but ain't no thing. Check and call. Certainly nothing else that would make sense. Let's throw that little red bird in there. Beautiful little turn card for us. Not only is it a good turn card for us because it gave us 4 blue cards, but it also will potentially encourage our friend over there. Let's say he has a hand like ace 3. He's probably going to be encouraged to bluff, which is great because ace 3 doesn't look too good against queen and 5. And we call. We'll have a decision to make if we rip it. We did not, though. I believe we will check. We could win here some percentage of the time, not always, though. All right, so we had it this time, but I think we played that hand completely, perfectly well and fine and good. Don't think there's anything else we could do. We could try to bluff the river, but there's no chance that that's going to work often enough to show a profit. So I feel pretty good about our hands there, how we played that. Dear Jay Carver. All right, I'm going to have to summarize your big paragraph. So your question is, whenever I read anything on a poker forum nowadays, that's your first mistake, reading things on poker forums. Often I read something that somebody wrote. I don't even understand what they are saying. It is clear that the top online pros do a lot of homework away from the table and have incredibly complex and well-developed thought processes. Yes, that is true. These are true things. Do you think that the old school pros that are still killing it, like Ivy, Daniel, Eric, have adopted this approach to the game? If not, how are they still getting it done in the high rollers without being exploited by all the young online wizards? That's a pretty interesting question, actually. You wrote a lot of words, but I didn't hate your question. So, I don't think that there is necessarily one way to win at poker, right? There's lots of different ways to win at poker, especially live poker. You know, do you think that if I put Daniel against Sauce, heads up, no limit, do you think Daniel is going to win that very often online? He is not. He wouldn't even think he wouldn't think he would, and he wouldn't. You know, Sauce is just going to be a lot better at the things online, that the skills that it takes to win an online heads up, no limit hold'em than Daniel is. However, if you put Victor at a table with Daniel live, Daniel's going to do pretty well. It doesn't even matter if they're heads up and Victor is way better than him. Like, Daniel will still have a chance and might even be a favorite purely because, I doubt he's a favorite. But he's not going to be, the longer the match goes, he might be a favorite. You know, if he's watching Victor the whole time and Victor's just, he's definitely got a shot, just purely because Daniel's biggest strength is his ability to read people live. This is unfortunate. Every customer, except for Will, I mean, not really unfortunate. It's just a thing that happened, but, So, interesting decision here between checking and betting. I'm afraid of checking and letting, everybody here and their mother see a turn card, especially since we have the Jack of Hearts. I'm not, too concerned. We're only really crushed by, Queen X with a heart that's higher than a Jack, which is pretty hard to have. Obviously, we're also crushed by just, flushes, obviously. But I think I'd rather bet than check and open up the door to all sorts of ways we can lose this pot without having the worst hand, or potentially with having the best hand and such like that. So, I think there's a difference, right? There's a spectrum. The things that Ivy is good at are not the same things Daniel is good at, and they're not the same things that Eric Seidel is good at. And I think that, all of those guys are clearly stronger live than they are online, and especially Ivy have had some success online. Ivy's had tons of success online, so I think that it depends. Daniel took some of the best stuff from online and added what he was good at, which is live reads and playing post flop, and combined them into some mixture of the two, where Daniel still plays like a live pro sometimes, but sometimes he doesn't. Like, if you took Daniel and put him at a high roller table of 7 wizards, like the 7 best players in the world, the Phil Gruesom's, the Tobiases, the Igors, the Scott Sievers, the Ike Haxtons, if you put them and Daniel at a table, Daniel will do just fine because Daniel worked his ass off and got really good at poker. We're just all in here. We could be beat, but, it's Ace King, 3-bet pot. We made it $10 pre-flop. We're now folding now. Could be beat, but, Run the cards, dealer. Run them. All right. He made it to straight draw status. Remember, we're in for $140, so we're not up 84, but at least we're not down. That's kind of cool. So, Daniel, maybe like 5 years ago, and actually right around the time we became friends, really, really worked hard at making sure that he was able to fight back against the online wizards. He just, took the time to learn about all of the stats, all of the information. Like, he let himself learn all that stuff. Whereas a guy like Phil Hellmuth just didn't really seem like he wanted to learn that kind of stuff. Like, he was kind of content in doing what he was doing. Whereas Daniel realized, and I believe correctly, Daniel realized that if he was going to compete at the highest level, he was going to have to work really, really hard. And he did. And he learned all that stuff. And he took what he learned from all that stuff and combined it with what he was already good at in live reads and made himself the type of player where if you put Daniel with 8 amateurs at the World Series of Poker in a tournament, if you did that, Daniel will be so capable of playing a weird style that doesn't look good mathematically, might not be good in a vacuum, and would never be good against like the ultimate wizards. However, against these 8 guys, Daniel's developed this perfect strategy where he's talking a lot, he's encouraging people to gamble, he's talking this guy out of that call, he's talking this guy into that call, and he's just created this like amazing dynamic that works great for him. So Daniel is capable of doing that and playing the 100Ks and just doing just fine. And I think Daniel is a great example of somebody who will live forever in poker because he'll always challenge himself. He always wants to improve, and he always wants to get better. Your question specifically was, have they adopted or adapted their thought process? Yes, they've definitely had to adapt to the young kids who have just figured out things that are just true. And your last part of your question is about, do I constantly worry about balance and stuff like that when I play high stakes stuff? Well, I haven't played a high stakes thing, although I will be very soon. I haven't played a high stakes poker thing in some amount of time, so I haven't had to worry about too much. But I don't have anything to worry about. You asked specifically about, do I worry about like my run it up thought process and stuff like that, giving away too much? I don't really think so, because number one, none of those guys watch these videos often enough for it to really matter. Number two, we're talking about like online cash games versus playing live high stakes tournaments. The dynamic is so different. And number three, like, I feel like my biggest strength is live poker, just like Daniel's is the same way. I don't think that my biggest strength is online. I think my biggest strength is live, just like the stuff that I can see live that makes sense to me that just doesn't exist online. I think that as long as I have that and the people that I'm playing with haven't watched every video I've ever done, I think it's fine. And if they've watched every video I've ever done, they're fans. I'm happy to give you money. Sure. Relax, take some money. And even then, I feel like it's competitive. And if I was going to enter into a match where I was like, let's say I made the main event final table next year, and clearly anybody who was really serious would go out and watch like at least some of my videos to have some idea of what my thought process was, or pay someone to do it. I would just work so hard over that time period to like strengthen my game to a point of like countering the adaptations. Like I would strategize really hard around it. It's not like I don't know what I say. Like, I mean, sometimes I don't, but for the most part, I feel like I'm pretty aware of my thought process and what I've shared. So I feel like I'd be fine. I feel like I'd be able to hold my own, especially if I had some notice to prepare. I've been watching all your videos since the good old days. Yes, that's right. Thank you very much for all your kind words. You wrote quite a lot of them. Thank you very much for that. And he says, GoldenEye is also my favorite Bond movie, and over the years I've gotten pretty fucking good at the Boris pen spin. No big deal, though, or nothing. That's right. That's pretty cool. Love Clark. Thanks, Clark. I've never had a friend named Clark, but you could be the one. You could be the first one. I tried to bluff you around the river, but I wasn't particularly thinking he would ever fold a hand as good as the king. I was hoping he'd maybe fold like a small pocket pair. Maybe he'd fold a 4 every once in a blue moon. Maybe a better ace high was a very reasonable hope of mine. But yeah. Not quite. Interesting. Boy, that is a lot of words about not poker. Right. Okay. Sure. I think we can call here. This guy's probably going to call, or the actual guy named Guy might call. I'm happy to see a flop with not the best hand in the small blind here. That's not the best start for this hand. First of all, no dear Jay Carver. You must be new to this thing. Stefan writes, Yo, Jay Carve, would you be interested in playing without seeing your cards whenever you get close to a milestone, run it up some? For instance, when you have 4950, play a 1-2 session with the cards covered and just show us your 6 skills. Thanks, Stefan. I wouldn't be against it, but I wouldn't do it as a run-it-up session, I don't think. I mean, I could, I guess, but I think I would prefer to do it as just like a for-fun type of video. But I'm always afraid, like if I do let's say I play like a 50-cent dollar session and cover up my cards and then lose like 3 buy-ins, but I wasn't doing it for run-it-up. How do the people not just know that I'm just like donating the money? People are like, oh my God, Jay Carver's drunk again, giving away buy-ins, shoving with complete trash. But meanwhile, it was for like a video challenge. I don't know. I feel like people might find that semi-controversial. So I don't know. Dear Jay Carver, you mentioned in an earlier video your grandmother watches Run It Up sometimes. That's true. That's right. She does every once in a while, which is impressive because my mother can't figure it out, but her mother can. Not only that, did I tell this story last time? I don't think I did. My grandmother accidentally had her phone set to Japanese. All right, accidentally had her phone set to Japanese. My grandmother is like 82 years old, and through text directions that were not that clear, but I looked how to do it on my phone, how to set back to English, and I told her like go to this icon and do this thing and this thing. Not the easiest thing to do for an 82-year-old. Like obviously, most of you guys could probably do it very easily. But my grandmother did it no problem. That was pretty impressive. Again, my mother would have to go back to the store and get a new phone. She would have no clue. I don't understand. I don't get it. It's so weird. It's in Japanese. Jason is in freaking Japanese. All right, one more orbit. I was going to sit out, but I'm definitely not sitting out now. I'm feeling too good. Cheers. Kieran? Kieran? K-I-E-R-A-N. You wrote cheers, so I assume you're from the UK. Kieran? I haven't had a friend named Kyron. It's got to be Kieran, right? Kyron? If I said your name wrong, educate me for when the next Kyron writes me an email. Short, not poker-related question is the subject. That does get my attention. Good email. Hi, great vids. I'm from Poland. Hello. nice to meet you. I'm from Poland. Oh boy, yeah, I'm gonna try to pronounce your name, but it's not gonna be right. Your question is, what is your favorite movie? I don't know. 'Tis a good question. I don't think I have one that like jumps to mind as like that's the one. But I'm a big fan of like Gladiator. When I was a kid, that was obviously the one for me. I was in love with Gladiator as a movie. I was a real kid. I was a fan of Star Wars, but as a teenage kid, I was a big fan of like Gladiator, Braveheart, those types of movies. V for Vendetta, I was a big fan of. I don't think there's like one movie that I look at and say, "Yep, that's the one." I don't watch movies too often repeatedly. Although I did just have like a movie marathon. I watched like. Sunday, yesterday. I watched Oblivion. I went through like all the sci-fi movies in the last like 3 years of any note. I watched Looper, Oblivion, and I definitely watched 3, but I don't remember the last one. It definitely wasn't very good though, but I can't remember. So I don't know. That's a good question. And our fella's name here is J Weird E with a thing under it. So non-English E. DRZEJ. Jedz. I'm sorry. I don't know how to say your name. Jed Rzj. I'm sorry. I apologize to Poland. I'm sorry. I don't know how to say your first name. It's probably easier than how I'm saying it, but there's a D, R, and a Z all in a row, and I don't know how to say that. That's not a thing I know how to say. Jz. Jez. I'm sorry. And I laugh every time. I'm laughing at me. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at me. $32, that seems like quite a lot. Let's make it $3. Right. And you'd love to get a Run It Up poster. I might send you a Run It Up poster. It's possible. I don't know how I'm going to give away all of them. I have 10. I'm going to send like 5 to people. I have like 5 left. I can make more. If people want those Run It Up posters, I don't have one on me to show off to you guys, but the canvas behind me on poster form, I can make those into poster form and send them to people, but they kind of cost me a bunch, and obviously it costs me to ship them too. So besides doing them for giveaways, I'll definitely sell them sooner or later. I'll sell them for what it costs me to ship and make them, but that's still like going to be like $30-something. So, yeah. So, oh, hello there. This might be the one that gets us all the gold. So last time our opponent did this, he had queens, which would be a great hand for him to have now. I'm gonna raise. I don't love raising it because it looks so strong. But you know, what are we gonna do? Make it like 9? Make it 10? Could make it those. Could make it 11 actually. 11 is probably a better number than 12 because it's only 10 more instead of 11 more. But okay, make that extra $1 there. We did. Yes, make that extra $1 there. We did. That's a sentence for you. I'm going to bet bigger rather than smaller because I kind of have a feeling this guy is the type that's either going to call or he won't, although I said that before and then I was wrong. $30 seems like the right amount to me. How do you feel about that, Patches? If our opponent goes all in, I would have been somewhat sad, but looks like we're going to get it done. All right. We did it. Oh, 5-10 limit hold'em. Who's in for that? Who's in for some limit hold'em? Question about League of Legends is the title. Dear Sheriff J. Carver, I used to be Sheriff Caitlyn all the time, but not anymore. I haven't played League of Legends in like 3 weeks, ever since I didn't make it to gold, and I've been all depressed about it. I'll be gold eventually. I've worked hard enough that I was 97 LP, and then the system didn't let me get there. I tried, it just didn't work out, you know? Been loving the videos, and your channel has easily become one of my favorites on the YouTubes. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. If you don't subscribe, join Team Run It Up. Subscribe. That's the best way you can support Run It Up is subscribe. It makes me feel good. It'll make you feel good. You know, that's how you do it. You gotta subscribe. I appreciate that you have subscribed. Thank you, sir. Your question is, which character would you say is your favorite to play in League of Legends? Well, favorite to play, I don't know, but most common is definitely Caitlyn. I must have played 200 games as Caitlyn ranked. I don't think any other character I've played nearly as much. Although I think second is like, I play a bunch of roles because especially in this last season, I really wanted to learn a bunch of different roles. So I didn't just stick with ADC, which is definitely my best, but I played a bunch of jungle. I played a bunch of Zac. I played a little bit of Aatrox, Jarvan. I played a lot of Jarvan. I'm trying to think if anybody else I played often. Hecarim is another one I played a lot of, although I'm not particularly good at any of those. I played top a bunch. Shen. My Renekton isn't very good, but I played a bunch of Shen. Elise is probably my best top laner. And then I'm getting okay at Ahri mid. So I'm learning a bunch. I have a pretty wide spectrum of things I'm decent at. So we've got a couple options here between checking and betting. I don't know for sure if this opponent will fold the 6 or a 4 if we bet. We do have the best hand sometimes. I guess we'll just check. I don't really know for sure if our opponent will fold a 6 or a 4. And we do have the best hand sometimes. Like, I don't know if that hand will fold. I mean, what do we have? Doesn't make a lot of sense. All right, one more orbit. I feel like we've been playing for forever. But, all right. For the fans, one more orbit. Hey, we're feeling good. We shouldn't quit when we're feeling good. We're feeling good, winning. The game is good. You know, I would not recommend you play if you guys were playing at home. You know, if this was a game you guys were in. Are there any other PC games that you play? I don't really play any other PC games. I don't play PC games too often. I mean, I don't play games, period, too often. Disciplined fold. Besides LoL and StarCraft. I don't even play StarCraft that often at all anymore. Actually, I haven't played StarCraft in a year or so. Not really. Every once in a while, I'll play a game for like 3 days. Like, I played like BioShock Infinite for like 3 days. I played the new Civ for like 3 days. I played... I think that's about it, actually, for PC games recently. I'm a huge PC gamer, but not too often. Sup, J Carves? Sup? Oh my god, these answers. I like that in the description, it doesn't say your name is Darren, but you wrote that your name is Darren in the thing. I think it's like the secret name. We'll have to say that. Like, you know, in the old days of the American Revolution, that's right, you guys clearly know all about this. This worldwide audience of mine must clearly know. Everyone has like a secret name, you know, you would know that they were part of the, like, you know, secret revolution. Every secret running up warrior, his name is apparently Darren, you know. We're all named Darren, V for Vendetta style. We're all going to put on the Darren mask, I guess, because your name is not Darren, but maybe you go by Darren. I don't know. Anyway, sup, J Carves, all caps. Cool. What is the story behind 3-5 of spades being your favorite hand? Thanks, Darren. The story about that is 3-5 of spades was, well, the very first hand I ever won a 2K pot with was, or a 1K pot? I don't remember. I think it was a 1K pot because it was like 10-20 limit hold'em, so I can't imagine it was 2K. I won a 1K pot. It's still a crazy game. It was like a 5-way capped turn with, I had 5-4 spades, which was a flush, and it was somehow good, and the board didn't pair on the river, and I ended up winning like a 1K pot, which was pretty sweet, with 5-4 of spades. And then a couple of years later, I won my first like nearly 50K pot with 5-3 of spades. And then we used to play props all the time because that was the cool thing to do on TV poker. So those friends of mine that had too much money would play props. And I actually won a good amount of money at props. I was pretty good at keeping track of those. I feel like almost every time I played props, I had a pretty big edge. But we would play games where, like, anytime like a certain card would be in the middle of a flop, you'd get paid. So I'd play like one particular friend of mine who has all the money in the world, so it didn't hurt him too badly. We would play heads up PLO, and we had a game where, like, anytime the 3 or 5 of spades was in the middle, he'd pay me $1,000. Like this, for example, would be great. I would have spades and clubs, so I'd have a triple spade flop would be like $500. 5 in the middle would be $800. 5 of spades, particularly, would be like $1,400 because it was my bigger of the 2 or bigger of the 4 colors rather, and then black would be more. The specific black would be more. So we would play like heads up PLO, and my opponent didn't adjust at all. Was just playing it like it was heads up PLO, even though the props were so much bigger than the actual game. So if I had a hand that had like 4 black cards in it, when I was wanting black cards to flop, I would just fold. Or if I had like any cards that had 3s and 5s, I would never fold. Whereas if I had deuces or 4s, which were my opponent's props, I would call every time because I want to see it flop. So it would just improve my chances so much. And this was like 5 years ago now. And my friend knows all these things. He's like my best friend, so he's fine. That he knows he was a fish, and he got plenty of revenge. So he's definitely up in home games and stuff lifetime on me. So that's it. That kind of cemented it as my favorite hand. All right, this was a fun episode. We were in for 140. We ended up winning 202.68. Not winning that much, obviously, but 202.68 minus 140. Okay, I'll get it right eventually. Minus 140. Eventually. 62.68 profit. All right, back over $1,500. 1532.83 is our total for the day. All right, that's it. We ran it up. You guys liking my fridge over there? That's right. It's the Dear J Carver, the best Dear J Carver I've gotten in a long time. on the fridge. On the fridge. It's a deer and Jay Carver. That's right. That's right. I should probably cross the guy's email address out, huh? Didn't really do it. I gotta get a black Sharpie or something. But hey, it goes on the wall anyway. So, if you guys enjoyed, today's video, don't forget, let me know in the comments below. That's what they're there for. Say, hey, Jay Carver, you ran it up a little bit. Finally, about damn time, bitch. And thanks so much for watching as always, guys. I will see you back for more tomorrow. And I think that's it for me. Thanks so much for watching as always, guys. I will see you back tomorrow. Don't forget, facebook.com/jcarverpoker. Go add me there. We can be friends on Facebook. That means something, right? Okay. All right, guys. I'll see you back for more tomorrow. Peace.